And honestly,
everything.
this is already a really well lit apartment.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I realize like when I film, if the light isn't just right, especially because I'm feeling this way, that I'll get really light and then you'll get really dark.
You don't want that. You don't want to see a darker version of me.
No,
No.
you won't. You disappear.
Yeah.
into the-
That's a shadow.
yeah,
There's a shadow in the
that's
shot.
yeah, that's just a shadow.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I got these lights. Also, I started. I did my first audition tape thing, and
Just in time for that acting class too.
I know. Well,
So you were using this camera for the audition?
Yeah, I used that for the audition, but I did the audition and then I did the acting class. So
Oh, completely. Just like how you fucked up your Chicago and LA thing.
yeah, I
do
do
things backwards too.
Yeah, I'm extremely dyslexic.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it
yeah.
really ruins my life.
You're retarded in how you schedule things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or like even like how I write and like keep my like comedy. Like I have like 5 notebooks going at all time, and they serve such a very niche purpose that doesn't make sense.
It's like the Christopher Nolan of like writing for you. It's like you're just gonna go to different time scenes and then it all pieces together.
It all pieces together, but it's a lot about like vibes. Like this notebook has a vibe where it's like, okay, I can write. I write shorter jokes, but I can still write some long jokes, but not too long because the pages aren't that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not free writing in this. And then there's this short notebooks where it's like those are more just ideas or like set lists. And then
that's actually a good. Because I usually maybe use one for all of those things, and then I realize the book is just very chaotic. But if you're like compartmentalizing it,
I guess that's the word.
Compartmentalizing it,
dude. I'm afraid to say that word because I always botch it.
Yeah.
Compartmentalize.
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 Yeah. This is me teaching English to a white man. From Florida too. I knew that you had Florida in some, because obviously the last name, but then you're from the Midwest.
Yeah. So I was born in Florida in Fort Lauderdale, and then we moved around a little bit, and then we lived in Tennessee for a bit, and then but for the most part, I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago.
Got it. Okay, that's an interesting kind of trajectory up there.
Yeah. Well, my parents were pharmaceutical reps. So
okay. So is this what the name of the? How'd you get that hat?
Yeah, this is a big pharma.
Yeah, you are sponsored,
merch.
dude. If you're sponsored by Pfizer at this point,
dude, Viagra.
Yeah.
Oh, is that this Pfizer?
I think
hat?
Pfizer. So my dad was a doctor, and so he would a lot of times like I would actually work for him. I would do like office stuff or data stuff for him. But then for lunch, his office would get catered lunch from pharmaceutical reps.
Oh yeah, because they like schmooze.
Exactly, they schmooze, and these guys like they knew the good spots like in the city, so like they would bring some really good things, and then they could pitch the doctors like while they're eating.
Yeah.
And then they like leave samples behind.
Yeah.
But Viagra, so my dad, I remember, had, crazy enough, he had Viagra samples, not for himself, I don't think. We'll just assume not.
We'll see.
But I had an older brother who he's like 8 years older than me, and apparently he would take these samples, and when he was in high school, he would sell it to his friends. And then I got his bag when I was in middle school. I borrowed it once, and then I thought it was allergy medication. And so I gave it to a friend of mine, thinking that it was like Allegra.
Ay caramba.
Yeah, and so I got into a little bit of like a trouble where the principal was like, "Where did you get this?" And then like
did
my
he
parent.
take it?
Well, yeah, the guy took it. Yeah, the student took it. And I didn't realize, and at the
He's
time,
still hard today.
he's still hard, yeah, dude. He's like, why is your dick so hard? Oh man, the pollen is just getting all up in my eyes, man. There's a lot of cats and dogs around, dude.
Yeah, it's allergies.
No, but then like I had a conversation with my parents at home, and they were like, "Do you know what this is?" I'm like, "It's for allergies," because I don't know at the time that it was Viagra. But and they kept on being like, they couldn't tell me because like sex was kind of like taboo in our house, so it's like they couldn't really tell me what it was actually for without being like, "Do you know what this is?" But I'm like begging them, like, "I don't know what it is. Like, I really don't." Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. And so like they never could like piece together the detective work that like my brother was this pharmaceutical rep on like a more black market level.
Oh my God, how old's your brother?
Well, now, yeah, he's like in his like late 30s now, but this is like back in like the fucking early 2000s. I don't want to.
How old was he then?
He was in high school, so I think this is like 17,
Damn.
18 years old. Yeah, I mean,
what a bad boy.
This is like in the early like
where
02, 03.
Where are you guys from?
We're from Syracuse, New York.
Okay.
Upstate. That's why this hat
Where
looks...
are you guys actually from?
Yeah, right? The hat. All right, there, that hat, the camel hat was like, all right, I should expect that kind of question. Our family's from Kashmir, like the South Asian region.
Oh,
Kashmir.
right.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, is that where actual cashmere comes from?
No, but that's
Damn it.
hilarious. I'm glad that you... one of my earliest, hackiest bits, Elle has just done. And so, no, but there's definitely good cloths. I mean, my last name is Shawl, kind of funny enough. Right?
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, there are nice textiles there for sure.
Where is it on the map?
It's in the Himalayas. It's right in between India,
Ooh.
Pakistan, and China.
Were you born there or were you born in?
No, out of like all my family members on like both like sides of like my first cousins, I'm the only one that was like born in the States.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so my brother was born there, and my parents met there. They were married there.
Have you ever been there?
Yeah, I would go like every summer as a kid until I was maybe like 14 or 15. And then the last time I was there, it was like right when I was in college. So it was like 2012. But I haven't been back since.
What's it like? Is it like cool? Because you say Himalayas. I think like.
It's beautiful. It's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it looks like Switzerland in so many places. It's just like very much like glaciers and like these amazing valleys. And like you get like a lot of like, there's like ski resorts there. There's a lot of like natural beauty. But then the Indian military is just like posted up like heavy there.
Oh.
And so that kind of like the vibe is a little off.
Yeah,
you know?
it dampens the vibe.
And they're not from that region either. So the people who are in the Indian military, it's like they're all from different parts of India.
Oh.
And so they all have to like just be up there. And in the winter, it gets crazy, like fucked up. Like it's very snowy. But then in the summer, it's very beautiful.
Yeah.
But then the population just hates the Indian military. So you're like... It's like the most suicide rates for a military army ever in that area.
Oh my God! Wait, so does Indian or India?
It's occupied.
It's occupied.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least that's my point of view.
Yeah.
Elle is
Hell
now
yeah.
complicit. You have to condemn me after this podcast.
No, absolutely not. I'm so on your side.
Hell
so
yeah.
wait, so where is it on top of India or like?
Yeah, so basically like during partition in like the 40s, like the two countries split, India and Pakistan.
Yeah.
And then Kashmir was allegedly going to be independent, and it's like right situated in between, like they share a border. So there's a part of Kashmir, which is like owned by Pakistan, and there's another part that's owned by India, and there's another part that's like owned by China, really randomly.
Why are they like so bad at just splitting the deal?
It's the
over
British,
there?
man. They just
It's
don't,
the British?
Yeah, they don't really know how to like
They set a bad
pull out
precedent
in a weird way. Yeah, they set everywhere, dude. Everywhere you see, it's like the British people just don't know. Like they're so dumb on how they divide borders. Like you see, like how many fucking soccer teams there are in London alone. You know what I mean?
Right. There's so many.
There's so many.
Yeah.
So they just like these arbitrary borders. Like they're just so good at like just making them.
And
they make no sense.
So if Britain like divided borders better than the Indian Pakistan Kashmir thing,
the whole thing
happen?
was the British left in like the 40s and 50s.
Right.
The country partitioned into like these two separate states, and then Kashmir was supposed to either be a part of one or the other or be independent. And then what the British did was back in the day, like if there was like a Muslim majority area, they would appoint like a Hindu leader there. And then if there was like a Hindu majority area, they would appoint like a Muslim leader there to kind of really sow discontent between the two people.
Yeah.
So they're good at like playing the game, you know?
Damn.
Like, being little gossipy bitches, you know?
Yeah.
Setting people up to fail like that.
Yeah, fuck.
Crabs in a barrel, man. Yeah, so it's not I haven't been back in a minute. It's sticky. It's messy.
Sticky. It's messy. Yeah. That's stress.
When two girls have nuclear weapons and they have this little sort of like piece of land, it's not good.
Yeah, and they already like don't like each other.
They don't.
Yeah, it gets like very dramatic.
I gotta see. So I was looking at your passport. So I'm also an American citizen. I just want to be clear. I don't want what Alice was kind of putting out here.
Bassam is American.
Buffalo, New York. Very, very American city.
Oh yeah.
Midwest meets New York meets Canada.
I'm going there. Wait, no. I'm going to Albany for the first time.
I went to school there for half a year. Yeah, or a year and a half. SUNY Albany. Awful.
Okay, cool.
Shitty city, man.
Awesome.
Should not be the capital of New York.
Really?
Yeah.
What should Buffalo be?
That wouldn't be even a bad idea. Compared to Albany, though? Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been. I'm going there for like a show on New Year's. So.
Okay, wow. You're gonna spend New Year's in Albany, New York?
Yeah.
Dude,
I also don't care about New Year's at all.
That's fair. I get it.
It's like
You're 30.
Either do nothing or for the past couple years I would go out with like just one friend and then we would do Molly at like different like bars. But like I don't like a group like New Year's hang because I'm like I don't want to like be if it gets more metaphorical of like I'm hanging out with people I don't like starting the new year off.
For sure.
Not everyone I don't like, but you know, I'm very like particular.
Well, then there's almost like this like group pressure that everyone has a good night, and then
and I don't like that either.
Yeah, and then I always liked going to like a house party for it if I knew the people there, like the house party,
like a low pressure.
Yeah,
you can leave anytime you want.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, but then like I remember before I was like living in New York, I would visit friends in New York, and New Year's was like the night to visit New York
For sure.
and everyone's like just like chasing cocaine and like trying to find like a good place to fucking like party, but like we don't really know one, but you get a good deal.
Yeah. All that mess. I'm just like I would rather just stay inside.
Yeah, no, I think that's a bit more of a low key thing, especially in your 30s. Right?
Yeah.
But Albany as a gig, I hope it's paid well at least.
It is.
Okay. Well,
so I mean, I wouldn't be going if it was like.
Is it a club?
It's gonna be at a theater actually.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah.
It's gonna be at. It's actually not my manager said it was at Chelsea Music Hall, but I think it's at a different theater. It's at like Pandemonium Theater.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So one thing about Albany I'll say is that they have one of the largest Walmarts in the world.
Oh, that rocks.
Yeah.
I love a Walmart.
Can't go wrong with a one-stop shop like that.
You could get lost in there forever.
America's bodega.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Truly.
Yeah.
Great way to word it.
Anywhere you go.
My mom, anywhere you go is great in Walmart, but I wasn't allowed to go to Walmart for a long time. Yeah, because I didn't go to Walmart until I was like 18. Because
there's like a in like Midwest, it's like a quinceañera, like what is it?
No, my mom was just she was a little. My mom comes from a small town in southern Illinois, so she's very like she just lives in a bubble, and she was like. There's a lot of, aggressive people at Walmart.
Really?
And to her...
The greeters.
Yeah, okay.
Those greeters are just always up in your fucking grill, man.
In her defense, anytime I went to Walmart, there were it was very stereotypical, like parents beating the shit out of their kids.
Yeah.
At Walmart. And I'm like, I don't care. They're not beating me. They're beating their own children. It's
a good visual. To see how good you have it too.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm fine. And I'm like, you guys beat me at home. So I already have. Yeah. It's at least I'm very prepared to see what I'm about to see. And it's not, but it is kind of hilarious. Like you're kind of just like shopping for like clothes or something. You hear a kid being like, oh my God, no, Mom. Like just like screaming for dear life. And you're like, I can't help you.
Why do you think that people choose Walmart as the dojo? Because I feel like, a mall offers even more of like, I guess like variety in some ways. I'm trying to think if my parents ever hit me at Walmart. I don't think they hit me at Walmart.
I think over time there just must have just been an overall acceptance of like, this is where you hit
the cops won't
your
be called
kids.
here. The cops won't be called here.
You can go to Kmart or you can go to Walmart.
Yeah.
Kmart got closed. You cannot do that at Target.
No.
Target is highbrow.
They are.
And that's not allowed. But
once they started serving Starbucks in Target.
Yeah. It's like you cannot be a child there.
Yeah, no. Walmart is the one-stop shop for domestic child abuse.
Yeah.
It's a good place to teach a lesson. Yeah.
Teach a lesson and buy your Christmas presents all in one stop.
Yeah. And what's better than a Christmas present than a fucking slap on the fucking face?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You like, I don't know. I feel like you appreciate your presents much more. You're like, oh, I took a beating for this.
Yeah. So you are a Christian, right?
Yeah.
So you like celebrate. Do you have a tree? You don't have a tree.
I have a little tree, but I'm not like
okay. Who's seeing that?
Kneeling down praying to it or anything like that. But I honestly I don't really identify with religion. We grew up.
Well, Christmas is so beyond religion at this point.
Yeah.
Though, because you grew up celebrating it.
I grew up Christian and Catholic, whatever. We made some transition at some point.
Yeah, a lot of Catholics where I grew up, so I get it.
Are you Catholic?
No, dude, come
Oh,
on.
sorry. Are you Hindu?
No, I'm Muslim, man.
Damn it.
Yeah. Damn.
Sorry.
Over 3 on that.
You never know.
If you look at my name, I don't know. There's a lot of context clues here. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay, so you're Muslim.
Yeah.
Or is it Muslim?
It depends on,
Muslim.
the accent that you're doing that day.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Word.
Muslim.
So
Yeah.
you don't celebrate Christmas?
No, I didn't grow up celebrating it, but then like I would hang out with my Jewish friends during like when I was growing up, and we would we would do the whole movies and Chinese food, and then my wife also the same situation. She didn't celebrate Christmas. She didn't grow up celebrating Christmas. She's also Muslim.
Yeah.
But then when we moved in together, we were like, we should definitely do this, and like we
For
usually
sure.
we usually get a tree, but this year we're not in New York enough this
Yeah.
month, so it didn't really justify it.
Yeah.
But
It's like a fun thing to do.
oh, dude, I
get
mean, like
the
when this
vibe.
weather is so shitty in the city,
Yeah.
and like it gets dark early. Like it's nice to just have like this little vibe set here.
For sure. It's
Yeah.
like the ambiance and the smells
ambiance.
and the candles. Yeah.
Just
Like
Christmas smells.
what are you talking? Yeah, like pine cone, like
Pine
the
cone
needles.
I don't really smell that. I guess I never.
Maybe you don't.
besides-
Maybe you have a deviated septum.
Well, I did get that corrected.
You did?
Yeah,
When?
September, like 3 months ago.
So you can breathe now?
It's crazy. It's
Wow.
crazy difference. Yeah, I was like disabled.
Wow.
Yeah, there was that. I couldn't breathe through this right nostril.
That you can't. You gotta get that fixed. I feel like so many guys walk around with like just like not breathing,
Yeah.
and they're like,
I was a mouth breather.
oh god.
Yeah, dude, not good.
Then not good. But
Big nose and a mouth breather.
yeah, but big. Yeah, that's a brutal.
2 strikes.
Yeah, 2
Yeah.
strikes. But how long have you been married for?
2.5, a little 2 and change. Yeah.
2 and change.
Yeah, 2021. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like women hit on you knowing that you're married?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I knew it's a thing.
No, I mean, I think I've talked to a lot of married dudes, and they go through the same sort of ordeal. And I was also working in like corporate America too, and I feel like it's even more pronounced.
Really?
Yeah.
Ew.
But yeah, it is what it is.
And those are
especially in
always-
New York. I think like you go to
Yeah.
any other like town, anywhere else. I feel
It's like
you know,
respected.
it's almost it's like it's not even like a thought.
Yeah.
But then like in New York and LA especially.
yeah, they see the ring and they're like, come on, that's not.
No.
Everyone knows that's fake.
If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere.
Yeah.
So that's the whole kind of out there. But yeah, I think I've noticed that.
I feel like the people who go after married people are like unhinged anyways. So it's kind of nice to maybe know like, oh, this person is mentally unwell.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I
and
feel like
stay away from them.
Yeah. But it's also just you're like, so you want to like kind of fuck up a person's life a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's insane.
Like Ariana Grande, I gotta give her credit, man. I didn't think she had it in her. You know what I mean?
No, that girl, she's like
crazy.
fucking bolts loose, dude.
Dude, being like a Disney and a Nickelodeon kid, right? Because I think she was like multiple.
I mean, and all the ethnicities.
Every so many compartmentalizations of ethnicities.
Yeah, she's been through like she
Yeah.
was Italian and now she's Asian, and you're like, whoa, like this.
Well,
is
Italian Floridians, you guys can just do it all, man. Yeah. Look at Brittany Brave. Look what she's doing.
Brittany Brave.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
She's Latina now.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, which is Italians. They're low key.
They can be. They
I
can
was
be
listening-
anything.
We were in Italy this past summer for her friend's wedding, Mahin's wedding, friend's wedding, and we were listening to like Italian trap. It's like the exact same thing as like Bad Bunny. You know what I mean? Like you can just tune it out. You're not obviously understanding what the fuck these people are saying.
Yeah.
But they have beat. They got swag. They got rhythm. It all makes sense.
Yeah, I didn't realize how there's definitely a handful of cultures I could be like appropriating.
For sure.
Yeah, Latino
Mediterranean.
culture.
You can just dip anything touching the Mediterranean.
Well,
It's yours.
what would that even look like? Mediterranean.
There's Spain. There's
Oh, yes.
France.
Oh, okay.
There's Greece.
Yeah, I could pretend
There's
a lot.
Morocco.
Yeah.
There's there's a lot.
Nobody cares about French people though. Like if you say like, "Oh, I had a hard life growing up in France," everyone's like, "Just shut up.
Just shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up. Nobody cares."
Yeah, go eat your fucking bread and cheese.
Yeah.
Because that's like cheap as fuck there.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
have
So if you grew up rough, you still eating somewhat okay.
You're fine. Yeah, you have like the best produce.
We have a couple
of
French
all
people in
times.
that acting class.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying they necessarily didn't. I don't know. I think the whole like I'm pretty over everyone meeting. Everyone you meet is like, hey, this is why my life is so hard, and I'm like, can we just like live?
Yeah.
And like obviously humans have trials and tribulations to like get over and
no,
things
but
like
don't even verbalize it. Just use it to sort of motivate you to do something.
yeah,
you know what
it
I mean?
becomes
Yeah.
everyone's like first like impression.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
If we're going to New York, you're already like you're pursuing something here
Yeah.
because you have some type of like, thing that happened to you or something that you feel just isn't right,
Yeah, you're trying to like accomplish something.
Yeah. So there's obstacles and then there's just like that mental thought in your head.
Yeah. It's just so I'm just like, God, can everyone just stop trying to one up me? Or even I'm not even trying to be one up.
Yeah.
But they're like,
But here, that acting class, to that point, it's like he'll say this to you. It's like you are always trying to not like one up your person, but like you gotta like bring out the pettiness of this person. Or, like you're going off on this person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need to like use this person. You need to like fight back. Pretty much, you need to fight in that scene.
yeah.
So I like that acting class. Cause like, how was it for your like? You had to read it 7 times.
I fucking loved it.
Was it a
dude.
comedic scene or was it like a serious scene?
It was at first I read it as like a serious, but it was basically like me and a roommate and my roommate, which was like Chris, and I was just trying to get a sense of like how much we should tip our super, and then it was basically about tipping and how and the fight was I think you should tip people, and Chris was like you don't need to tip people, and then it was like that was the argument.
Yeah. It's like a very Curb Your Enthusiasm type of like argument.
Yeah, and at first I was definitely just like fighting, and then James just said put like humor or like amusement or to it, and then it was like fighting, laughing, being more like, dude, like you're not gonna like something like that. But it was fun to just, especially when you're yelling, I feel like acting is fucking awesome because I've literally taken one
submitted one tape. Acting is fucking awesome, dude. Oh my god.
one acting class.
Yeah.
But it's just fun how you can like, I don't know,
You can
express
go
emotion.
for it. You can go for it. You know what I mean?
And it's not weird.
Yeah.
In stand up,
That's you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so different. It's so like, I don't know. It's scary to go for it in stand up.
Totally. Because I wouldn't say you're an act out comic.
Not at all.
No,
not at all.
Which
dude.
is, not a bad or a good thing.
But I'm too scared. Like
Okay.
I can't like with the worst sets I ever have are when I get too deadpan, because that means I'm super nervous and then I'm super just like in myself, and then I can say my set but it's not as funny because I'm just like I'm really not giving them any personality or tone change or anything. I'm just like deadpan all the way,
just
and
one note,
and that's like my most nervous self. But when I feel confident, I'm silly and I'm out there.
Totally. Yeah, you open up to the crowd more. It's like when you are first going up, I feel like you don't trust the crowd yet. And then I think when they like start laughing, or like you're getting your first sort of cracks in and they like you, then you're like, okay, now I feel like I can open up to you. It's almost like like I think that's with comedians too. It's like we're so like in our heads we want to be people pleasers, so it's like we'll know if these people are gonna like us from like these first sort of like openers that we'll do, or like sort of trying to riff with them up top.
Right.
And if they're not there, then you'll just be like, all right, well, I'm not going to give them who I am at all.
Yeah.
And I'll just give them whatever I think they'll like, or I'll just, do the bare minimum and, this is just my job. I'll move on. But I definitely feel like if you can read the energy of the crowd and they like you, you'll just be more of like, all right, well, they trust me on this, then I'll be a little bit more reader on this one,
But I want to be that when I first walk out onto stage and be like, even before I know if they like me or not,
like just right away be comfortable with what you're doing.
That's my goal.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it kind of just comes within like the first 20 seconds. You're going to kind of just know.
Yeah.
I always just like see if like a crowd is like if they're chatting a lot and there's like sort of like a general excitement in the room, and then like people have been drinking, but then also just like how they sort of cheer with like whatever the host is doing, like
Yeah.
But yeah, generally speaking, I try my best to kind of like meet them where they want me to be.
Do people call you deadpan?
No, I don't think I've ever really been called that.
I
Do you
don't
think
think.
I'm deadpan?
No, not at all.
Okay.
You have like just like a deeper voice and
NPR voice,
yeah,
maybe.
totally,
Yeah.
totally. But yeah, I don't necessarily think I'm deadpan either. I think just sometimes I can get, I guess, monotone
Yeah.
when I slow down too much. But I was on Instagram.
I wouldn't call you bubbly. Yeah.
I'm not bubbly, but
Yeah.
I don't. Okay, so I was on Instagram and fuck, I'm just gonna use my phone to show you this video because
All right.
it's kind of interesting. This guy, and it's totally like, sorry.
No, I want to see it.
It's this guy who says that our voice that we talk in today, it's like not technically our actual voice.
Oh.
And
So would you say you modify your voice on stage? Is that what you're saying?
no, it's like here, listen to this.
This is the biggest misconception that will keep
Misha.
you sounding the same
Misha,
with your
huh?
voice for the rest of your life. Most of my students believe that the voice they have right now is their natural voice. How do I know this? Because every single time I get my students to play with their voice and I push them to be a little silly and playful, and I get them to do things like
Silly.
this with their voice, or I get them to do things like this with their voice. They say things to me like, oh my God, no, Vin, don't make me do that. That's not my natural voice, Vin. Listen, the voice you have right now is not your natural voice. It's not. Your natural voice, you lost it when you were 2 to 3 years old. The voice you have right now is what's known as your habitual voice. It's a
Habitual
series
voice.
of habits that you've developed.
Well, what's interesting is that this guy is
unconsciously based on
Asian
the
and he's using an
people you were
Australian
inspired
accent, so
by
this is
when you were
definitely
young.
not his voice.
For example, if you were inspired by Mum, and Mum
It's
had a very
no
strong,
shit, man.
booming voice, then you would adopt that behavior and you would speak like Mum.
Yeah, no,
If
I
you were
know.
inspired by your teacher and your
His ancestors would not have that
speaking
point of view.
habits, then because you were inspired by your teacher, you would adopt those speaking habits. We do this
Yeah, but I think that's
unconsciously
kinda
based on the
interesting,
people
like,
around us growing
So
up.
yeah, we look at the
based on-
people around us growing up, and all right. So I mean, I had an older brother. He's 8 years older than me, so
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna look at the way he speaks.
Yeah.
And then-
speak that way.
Yeah, in some type of way like that. We definitely sound similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. But do you have siblings?
Yeah.
But
My
you're the only girl.
sister.
Oh, you have a sister. Okay.
Yeah, my sister sounds like me, but even like worse. Like she sounds like she was like conceived on a half pipe. Like she like
Because you kind of even have like a little bit of like a skater. Like,
I
tone
don't
there,
even
yeah.
know where this came from because
Yeah.
I mean, I have my brother, but my brother, we like were never friends. So I don't know who I modeled this after.
Yeah.
Maybe like a babysitter or something. But it's like weird that you pick your voice based on,
The people that you kind of like encounter.
or like,
People
yeah,
moments
are
in your life.
inspired by like,
Inspired by. That's a good way of looking at it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Inspired by. Yeah.
and so what he was saying is just like, you can change your voice. You can change the way you talk. And I thought it was interesting because when I did the acting class,
Yeah.
obviously I was,
You were kind of doing your own thing for a minute.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
was like putting in a certain amount of energy, what I thought like the character
Yeah.
based on the conversation. And then Chris after was like, I've never heard you talk like that. Like
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
never
yeah.
heard your voice. And I was like, well, maybe I can talk like that. Maybe it's just, I know my anxiety like plays a part in, how I talk on a day-to-day basis. Like the
Totally.
more anxious I get, the like more deadpan I get.
For sure. Yeah.
Or like uncomfortable I am, the more deeper my voice gets.
So I will say, like, I think this acting class, because I think I've been doing it for about 6 months now.
Yeah.
So it still almost feels new to me in some ways.
Yeah.
But definitely on stage, I feel like I can change my voice or like change kind of like a little bit more of like what I normally was doing and like how I was like telling my jokes.
Yeah.
Like maybe not like an act out, but maybe there's like a different way of like saying it or like enunciating it, or like do I
Right.
make my voice higher? Do I do like a silly voice to it?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think the class definitely was like a translation of that. Because yeah, I feel like you were working out so much different muscles, performative muscles too.
Yeah, for
Even
sure.
if like I'm not like that class randomly like had a decent amount of like just students in there, but not everyone's like really honing in and paying attention. James is obviously.
Yeah.
James, yeah,
The-
yeah. You know what
the
the teacher
teacher.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I would feel so much. I think I feel a little bit differently if it was like a huge audience watching me do this. You know.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I even like just it was weird to me that I didn't care that much, even though there were like other comics and just a handful of people watching me. Because I
Yeah.
feel like whenever I know comics are in a room, like at a show, I'm like, God.
For comedy, for doing
For
stand up
like
in
doing
front of
stand,
comic.
yeah,
I
I
totally
truly
get that, dude. Yeah.
hate it.
Yeah.
And then
You
like,
don't like playing to the back of the room.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then they're like, you can hear like specific people's laughs, and I'm like, oh God.
That's you, Jared Schwartz. You fucking
Yeah.
motherfucker, dude. Yeah, I get what you're saying. But then with this medium, it's like, oh, we're all kind of like going through this together, and it's
Yeah.
not like you're seeing my written stuff.
Totally, it's
or-
not like our
Yeah.
material.
But I think also like with comedians, they're able to take notes well.
Yeah.
So like when he's gonna tell you to do something, you're not like gonna like have like this mind of like, well, I'm not gonna do it like that, or like, well, I can do it this way, and he's just like, full of shit. It's like, no, I can listen to that direction. Yeah, Daddy, I could do that.
I could do that.
Yeah. Tell me more. Yeah. Whatever you want. Just
Whatever.
Yeah,
You know,
I want to please you.
That's
To the director, yeah.
honestly a good point, because I feel like in stand up you never get any direction on anything. No like true help
Yeah.
specifically to your material or anything like that, unless you're like writing with someone or stuff like that. But you never get such, I don't know, direct.
Well, the direct feedback we get is obviously just
Feedback,
from
yeah.
the audiences that will perform it. If it's like a new joke, that's the best feedback you can get. But then like from like a
It's feedback,
technical,
but it's also
like,
very
you're
vague,
stopping the
because you're
person,
like,
yeah,
okay, so they laughed at this, but like, why are they laughing at this?
sure. It's less direct feedback.
Yeah,
you're right.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
less specific feedback. You're also not pausing what you're doing and then learning what you need to do and readjusting and then doing it again.
Yeah.
Because that takes a lot more time.
And then it would make the joke not funny because
That's
you're
true.
not doing it
Yeah.
for the first time.
But it's been good to having because we've met a lot, I think, at Brooklyn Comedy Club a lot.
Yeah.
And now you're at the Stand, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exciting.
And so, but Brooklyn was such a great way to kind of like work in new stuff because they were doing so many like,
Chill.
chill shows that were like low stakes. Like
Yeah.
do 20 minutes of just new stuff if you want. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah. Helped a lot. Helps a lot.
It really does.
Yeah.
That place rocks. When did you start stand up? Did you start in New York?
Started in DC, like around 2016, and I did like musicals in high school and like the drama comedy show, and then some sketch stuff in like college, and then I just went to a stand up show in DC, and I was like, I should try this out, I guess like a
Yeah.
hobby, but then I just kind of started hitting my job, and then this was like more of like I want to do this,
Yeah.
and then I moved to New York in like 2017, and so yeah, that's been the kind of
That's awesome.
yeah, and I started the Lantern, which has just become, it's like looking at the Lantern. It's
Yeah.
like how like Palestinians look at Israel. You know what I mean? It's like what once was.
Wow.
Yeah. You
Wow.
can cut that if you need it. But
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't care. Say anything,
Yeah.
dude.
No, I know, but it's crazy because the place has just changed so dramatically, and I
Yeah.
just remember like now seeing the lineup. It's like
Like well, now it's like the
comedy
comedy
shop. yeah,
And yeah, honestly, it's just kind of brutal to perform there because the whole setup.
the setup it
sucks.
got changed. Yeah. But yeah, in general, like that was a good place to. I think what helped me in New York too was like at least trying out the material was barking. I was barking a lot.
Yeah.
The Lantern was where I was barking a lot, and because it was just like
Yeah.
I couldn't do anything at open mics. To like your point, like you're like going to the back of the room with comedians, you're performing your set. Hate it, dude.
Yeah, I hate it. And
yeah.
it's just like they get
2 minutes in front of like the coolest Brooklyn kids.
yeah, and they're just judging the fuck out of you.
Yeah.
You're like they aren't even giving you a chance to be funny.
Yeah.
And I hate it so much.
No, I needed
like,
so much Xanax going to Pine Box Rock Shop. You know what I mean?
oh yeah, dude.
I was always just in my head about that place.
I feel like for a long time, I'm actually just now realizing I think I give off like, or I just have a really bad first impression
I met you in the pandemic. I think you were running a show.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you had a good first impression. You made a lot of eye contact, which I was like, this is unusual for
Dude,
comedians.
a lot of people hate that. They're
No,
like,
it's good. Yeah.
the feedback I've gotten is that I make too much eye contact. It
Woman,
intimidates.
look away. Look away,
Yeah,
woman.
yeah,
Look at the
yeah,
ground.
yeah.
Yeah.
Look at the
We'll all become
fucking
Hasidic
ground when you
dudes.
talk
Yeah,
to me.
Yeah. I want you to be fucking retarded when you leave.
Yeah.
Right?
Too much eye contact. I listen. I've had guys where they've told me like you listen a lot, and so
Why
I
don't
didn't
you zone
think-
out, you bitch?
Yeah, it's like so you're insecure that I'm listening to what you're saying because what you're saying must not be
too funny. I think just like some guys are not expecting a person to be so honed in on them, you know? But
Yeah,
then,
that
especially
maybe that
comedians,
is
especially
creepy.
comedians. Yeah. But yeah,
I'm just a little fucking creep.
You're a little
Everyone's
fucking creep,
ew,
dude.
dude.
Yeah.
Elle's like creepy,
dude,
man.
she just stares, bro.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
just fucking stares only when I'm talking to her. But
It's very intense.
it's very intense.
Yeah.
But I
don't think
I
we
don't
offer
care
them.
anymore. I mean, now if you're like, but I think I was very anxious for a long time because I was like, I just feel like a lot of people aren't reading me right, which is totally fine. But I don't know.
Did you start in New York, or where'd you
I started in New York.
Okay. And
Yeah.
you started what in 2019?
2020.
2020.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn, good for you, man. You're like 3 years in the game. You're doing this well.
Well, it's gonna be 4 in January.
That's true. Yeah, in literally a week. Yeah, I mean, I feel like New York is so cutthroat and competitive. There's so many people
it's crazy.
doing it. And then you also just see the best of the best
Yeah.
night in and night out. And so like when people are given opportunities, or like maybe they're getting ahead or yada yada, it's very, very, very there.
Yeah.
Whereas in LA, I feel like there's not as many people doing it, one, but then two, there's so many people who are at the top already.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but then there's obviously people who are like, lower than that, but there's not as much of a consistent scene for them.
Right.
So then the grindhouse is not as like populated.
Right.
Here it's very like, there's so many levels, and even
Yeah.
the top people are still doing the stuff that's at the lower levels.
For sure.
So yeah, that's why it just feels like there's so much more like personality adjustments and like,
For
having
sure.
to like navigate like pockets of, people and communities
Right.
and all that shit. So yeah, I remember when I moved here, it definitely took a minute to like, you have to like find your
You've
sort of
always been
people.
really cool though. Like my first impression of you was just like, he's just like cool.
Thanks, man.
I was a
but-
little intimidated because I thought I was gonna fuck up your name.
Oh,
so
whatever. Just my religion and
yeah,
my
just
ethnicity.
your
and the exports of my people.
yeah. I thought I was gonna fuck all that up, but other than that, I was like, yeah, you're a very cool person.
That means a lot because when I moved to New York, it was a really hard reset when I was just very, very green and like the material was very, very like hacky, but I was very confident in
Yeah.
it, right? And so when I look back on that now, I like overexpose myself on like a lot of like the bigger like cool alt shows
Okay.
very early on, and that kind of like it took a minute for me to like really get my material into like a place where like the confidence felt justified.
Right.
Because looking back now, I'm like, ooh, it's ooh.
Well, that's really
cringe.
interesting because when I think about your material, I think like, oh, it's very unique and it's very detailed and it's very like original.
Thanks, man.
And so, how did you? I mean, obviously, you had a feeling that like what your old material was like hacky or whatever
yeah.
it was. Like, how did you like? What was that process of like?
I think I just saw a lot of people were doing similar things here. So like when you were saying unique, I think I got into that mindset of like I should tell jokes that only I can really tell, or like maybe this is coming directly from my experience.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't do like the hacky, like 72 versions, like that kind of
bullshit,
right? It's like it's been done, and it just wasn't giving me enough of like this is a standout. Right?
Yeah.
So I needed to like adjust that, I think, and then, when you have losses here, this city, it's like this comedy scene too, like they'll give you some like big L's that you kind of like need to like
Yeah, you can't
really
ignore.
reevaluate it.
You
Yeah, the whole
can't-
point with like failure too is like it's always doing the same thing and expecting the same, like the results. If it's failing, then you can't do it the same thing.
Yeah, you gotta
you gotta adjust.
readjust.
Yeah. And so yeah, I mean, there was a couple of like, I didn't get past it in New York, even though I like crushed a set, or like, I didn't get JFL auditions, and then I had the ability to get on a JFL audition, and I didn't take it because people were like, maybe you're not ready, maybe it's not going to go the way you want. And then when you get something, it feels even more like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you got comics to watch.
Yeah, and I don't know, did I tell you what I had to do for that?
No.
Okay, so the Stand had recommended me this last summer when they were doing like, the submissions for it.
Yeah.
And I just assumed that I was like at least like a shoe-in. Just because they have like I have a great tape, so I'm like, this will be like I feel like I'm owed this.
Yeah.
A lot of my peers have gotten it in like the last couple of years.
Right.
And then months before that, there was this JFL showcase where I was given the opportunity, where I'm currently unrepped, and it was a rep showcase. Monroe Martin was hosting at the Stand, and then like Chris Itali was in the green room, and then like an APA agent was in like the AV room too, and I didn't go up. And it was a huge regret. I lost sleep over it. The JFL booker would have been okay with it if I did it. And I didn't get JFL that year, right? So then with Comics to Watch, I catch wind that I don't make the initial cut like a week before it's like released. And then the Stand asked like, what's the deal? Like, why didn't he make it? And then they had an opening, but they're like, can we see him? And fortunately, I'm heading out to LA. And I had a spot at the Comedy Store. And so the booker of the festival thankfully comes to seize me at the Comedy Store. I do really well. I have a really good set. I crushed the set. And as I walk off, she's like, you got the showcase. I'm like, all right, dope, awesome. Then I get the lineup, and I'm like, damn, dude, like, I feel like some of these guys are like maybe 1 to 3 years into the game. How did I not make this initial cut? So it felt even more like, what the hell?
No, yeah. When I saw there's a handful of people on there where it's like they're like open micers.
Some of them, I mean, I'm not going to talk shit. It doesn't need to be like that prominent, but it was more of like, I thought that maybe I know I can do well in this lineup. That was the big thing, right? So when I got that lineup and I got on that stage, like Monroe was hosting again. Chris is in the AV room. The APA person was there. And I bodied the set. I crushed the set. And my in-laws were there, which is kind of funny too. And then JFL was there too. And so like that was like a full circle moment.
Whoa, yeah.
Where and it almost just feels like with comedy too, is like our lives randomly get so like dramatized on like certain events, right? Because you have to go through so much bullshit that it almost feels like very much like, is this ever gonna like amount to anything?
Right.
And so that was like a small victory for sure.
I mean, that's crazy to get to have all those people in one room for that one moment.
Yeah, and the moment went fucking well.
Damn.
To the point where like, I knew like as I walked off, I was like, that's gonna help me for a while. But it just how I got there.
Yeah.
It was like I couldn't.
So many ups and downs.
So many ups and downs, but then like I think like the key here is like perseverance, man. Right?
Yeah, you just gotta keep going, dude.
Keep fucking going, dude, because. You started like at 27 then, right?
Yeah. I started.
Not to date you right now.
No. Yeah, I started it. So technically, I was 26 when I started, and then I turned 27 that year.
Okay. Yeah. So I started, I think, when I was like 23. I was like a year out of college. So it's been like 6 or 7 years of my life. So I was like, something's got to like, I have to have some type of sign at some point,
But that's like 6-7 years, like that's a good, I don't know. I mean, for me, when I think about like JFL and all that stuff, Comics to Watch, like in my mind, that sounds like the right amount of time to get JFL and Comics to Watch. It doesn't seem like you. I don't know.
No, I do feel ready. That's the big thing now, where it's like I think maybe if I got it this like a year or two ago, maybe I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in, maybe with my material, but then also like with things that I've written or like things like I want to do. Yeah. So this actually was the perfect time for this to kind of happen.
Yeah.
And then like I left my corporate job on good terms on like a contract thing, so it wasn't even like I like got fired, but I left it perfectly timed with this, with like the strikes being over, and then just kind of having more of like the opportunity to like do this consistently.
That rocks.
Because I mean, dude, like cutthroat environment with comedy, but like also with corporate of fucking America. So like I'm anxious. Like I was anxious like 18 hours
for
a day.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah,
and
dude.
like
I can't.
sleep, I'm annoyed that I have to sleep because I need to do a lot of shit.
Exactly.
You know, so you can't even like enjoy a good chunk of your fucking life.
Yeah, absolutely. When I had like a corporate job, the problem with me is like I only care about stand up, and I'm sure you only care about stand up too. But then I have no like bandwidth or patience for like the corporate bullshit.
Yeah.
So I actually get fired a lot.
Oh, I've been fired a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm just like, I don't care. I'm gonna tell you what the situation is, and it's usually like, oh, you weren't exactly polite in the way that we want you to be, you know, or like you didn't say, I don't know. It's just
it's
like
the exact opposite of like the acting class.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where like you are sort of like forced to kind of like put this weird character on in a corporate environment, and there's no like immediate direction on how you're supposed to act in some ways.
Right.
You have to figure it out.
You have to figure it out.
Yeah. And
all I know is the way you shouldn't act, and that's usually how I act. Because I'm just like, fuck everyone. This is all bullshit. You're bullshit. I don't want to listen to anybody.
That's basically, I feel like that's why we all gravitate towards like comedy, because there's so much less of that sort of like decorum where you can kind of cut around the bullshit. And like, you know,
more straightforward.
This is like, I'm funny. This is what should happen.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. At the holiday party at the Stand, there was a really funny moment with this like comic who was like getting kicked out. He was just like, because he was being like really disrespectful to like the staff there, and
oh my god,
he had this one line. It was just like, I can't call servers bitches anymore. It's comedy. And I was like, it's such a funny thing to say, but also a great way to sort of summarize how people approach this as a career, or like why they sort of gravitate towards it, you know?
Yeah.
Because they can just be their true piece of shit self.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
But what a great line. Iconic line.
That's
man.
crazy.
Yeah,
Who was it?
Yeah, you know, we don't have to talk about that.
Oh, you can tell me after the pod?
Yeah, I'll tell you after the pod.
Tell me after the pod.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Okay, so my camera died. Woohoo! Living on the edge, baby. So the podcast episode was over anyways, but Merry Christmas, guys. No podcast next week because I'm going to be in Colorado. Woohoo! Eat my ass. And then the next week will be a episode, so stay tuned. Let me know how you liked this episode. Also, I got new podcast art. Do you like it? I hope so. I paid $50 for it, so all right. Thanks, guys. Bye.